Hello and welcome to Kaleidoscope Enrichment and Idea Zone. My name is Sandy Roberts and I am a STEM educator and Makerspace coordinator here in Warren County, New Jersey, and I'm also the owner of Kaleidoscope Enrichment. I love science, technology, engineering, math, making, and all kinds of other hands-on fun DIY stuff, and so I wanted to bring some fun that you can do at home online each week on Wednesdays. We had a little bit of a time change, so we're now meeting at 4 p.m. instead of 3 p.m. on Wednesdays here on our YouTube, Facebook channels. But hopefully that isn't too much of a change. And of course, if you ever miss any episode, you can just go and check it on our YouTube channel or on Facebook and still enjoy at home. Today, we are going to be talking about forces, specifically the kinds of forces created by the lowly salad spinner. You may have one of these at home. I hope that you do. If not, you can get them at thrift stores, you can get them at grocery stores. You can find them pretty much anywhere, and they're pretty inexpensive. The idea of a salad spinner, if you haven't ever used one, is you put your lettuce or spinach or whatever in there, you wash it, you drain it, and then you put the top on and you spin it. Mine is a little grumpy today. Spin it around, and that pushes all of the water off of the leaves of your veggies and makes them nice and clean and ready to go. But the question is, why does that work? What about spinning the veggies actually makes the water go off the veggies? So let's talk about the science behind what's happening here. I have a little tool to kind of demonstrate today. If you've ever, had like a set of keys or maybe a necklace that you just kind of spun around like this, or yo-yo, you have to be careful because you can accidentally whack somebody in the face. But this is an example of centripetal force. Centripetal force is really important. It's what keeps us orbiting around the sun. It's what keeps the moon orbiting around us. And the idea is very simply that this big heavy cork is going to move in a circular direction, but there's also a force pulling in towards the center. And that's why that cork doesn't go flying out, because there's a force coming into the center and a force of its movement, its velocity, around the circle. Let me show you a picture that may help you understand a little bit better. Let's see, where'd it go? Okay, so here you can see our examples of centripetal force, which is what I was just showing you. That one's on the right. And you can see that this little car is going around in a circle, and it has a green arrow showing that forward motion that the car is trying to go in, but it's being pulled towards the center of the circle. So when something is trying to go straight but is constantly getting pulled in, that's centripetal force, and it creates a circle. Basically, this is what keeps us on the planet. It keeps the moon close to us and orbiting around us. It keeps satellites in orbit, because gravity is pulling the moon towards the Earth, is pulling the satellite towards the Earth. So that's that red arrow force. But the moon is trying to, travel on its own. It was pushed into motion at the very beginning of the universe, at the Big Bang. The satellites that we launch, we actually give them a push in one direction. So you constantly have this balance in centripetal force of the force of forward motion being pulled down by gravity or another central force, giving you that circular motion. Centrifugal force is a little bit different, and we're actually going to make more use of that today. It's very similar to centripetal force. See, I'm messing up my words here. But if you look on the left, we have something that's already moving in a circular motion, and it gets a force pulling it outward away from that circle. Okay? This is what we're going to use today as our centrifuge and to make our salad spinner art. So there's a little bit of science today. These are forces that you're definitely going to need to understand when you take physics, if you haven't already. And we could have a whole long discussion about them, but I encourage you to learn more about them. All right. So how do we put these to use for some fun science and art? Well, aside from tying things onto strings and spinning them around, which I highly recommend, it's somehow oddly relaxing, we're going to go further. Now, I have my salad spinner. I'm going to open it up. And I also have I have a little water bottle of salad dressing. Okay? For this, you want some kind of a liquid that can separate. So I really like to use salad dressing. I like to use orange juice with lots of pulp in it. You can even just put some glitter, okay, in a bottle of water. But you want to make sure that your bottle is lightweight, if you can. If you need to use a glass jar, you can, but the lighter it is, the better. So like a peanut butter jar or a water bottle like this is great. And you want to make sure it can actually fit in your salad spinner. We're going to basically use our salad spinner as a centrifuge. Scientists and doctors use centrifuges all the time to separate liquids from solids, or to separate more dense materials from less dense materials. So less dense materials have very few molecules, very few particles in a large space, whereas very dense materials have lots and lots of molecules or particles packed into tight space. It's kind of like if you have a bag of rocks and a bag of feathers. The feathers are a lot less dense and they're easier to carry than the bag of rocks, which are very dense. So centrifugal force, when it's applied to a solution like this, will pull the more dense parts of the solution down to the bottom and leave the rest up on top. We use this a lot for things like separating blood, so that you can get the plasma from the blood to use to save people's lives, or you can collect, say, the cells at the bottom so that you can do all kinds of tests on them. So we're going to recreate that with our simple salad spinner. So you're going to fill a lightweight bottle. Like I said, I have a bottle here of just some salad dressing. It's better if it came right out of the fridge because it's colder and more viscous. Okay, that means that the liquid moves more slowly, so it gives us a little better demonstration. My salad dressing has gotten a little warm, but I'm just going to go ahead and shake that up. And remember, you can ask me questions at any time. Just type right into the comments. It'll pop up here and I can answer your questions. So I'm going to give this a really good shake so I can see it's all mixed. Okay? Put it in there. Now, usually when we centrifuge, we want to balance our vessels. So we want to have one on either side. I'm going to do one right now, but I encourage you to play with that. See what happens if you put one in, or three in, or two, or mess with it a little bit. I'm also putting some bubble wrap in here to hold it in place. You don't want it to go rattling around. So a little newspaper, bubble wrap, or just use some masking tape to tape it right to the inside of your salad spinner. I'm going to put my top on. This is a real old style salad spinner. I got this at a thrift store probably 10 years ago, and it was old then. I think it's Tupperware even. I'm going to click it in. Here we go. This is the fun part. We are going to spin. And especially if it's unbalanced, you're definitely going to feel the unbalanced forces here as you spin it. So I'm just kind of demonstrating real quick. All right. Let's see. Did I get good separation? Okay. So you can see, maybe you can see on the camera, this side, I was angled when I had it in my salad spinner. So all the heavier bits have kind of coordinated over to one side, pulled over to one side of the bottle. And you can also see there's more of it down on the bottom. So what I want you to do is get out your salad spinner, find some plastic bottles, and go through the kitchen. Find some different liquids, or make your own, and see if you can spin them to separate the dense materials up to the bottom and the less dense materials to the top. And I would love to see pictures and some observations of what you discover. All right, so that's one fun use for our centrifuge salad spinner. But what I like to do probably more than that, I'm going to put my cart closer to me here. I feel like it's really far away. What I like to do even more than that, and this is my favorite summer activity, I bring it to the farmer's market all the time, is I like to make salad spinner artwork. Okay, so this is just a paper plate that can fit inside my salad spinner, and I put paint on it, and you spin it. So here's an example. Here's another one. Okay. Now, let me show you how to do this. It's very easy. I'm going to go ahead and grab some paper plates. And this is where you can really experiment with some different variables. For example, these paper plates, if you can kind of see, yeah, they're shiny, so they're glossy plates. Okay, they have like a coating on them, wax or maybe plastic, probably wax, on the plate. Okay, that's going to give you a very different result than a regular paper plate that doesn't have any kind of coating on it. So experiment with different types if you're able. You might even want to try a foam plate or a plastic plate and see if it gives you different results. The only thing that's really important is that your plate needs to fit in your salad spinner completely. Okay, so you don't want a plate that's not going to fit in your salad spinner. I'm going to go ahead and use one of these larger plates. Oh dear, I made a mess again. Okay, so I'm going to just go ahead and put it in my salad spinner, and I'm going to switch to the other view so I can show you what I'm doing. Oh, I forgot to talk about paint. Because I'm using a salad spinner that I might want to use for food, I always use a non-toxic washable paint for this. That way it can wash out. Now, this salad spinner I only use for artwork, so I don't worry about it too much. So if you have a salad spinner that you can just use for artwork, you can experiment with acrylic paints, you can experiment with watercolors. I've even put glass plates in here and used enamel paints on the back of the glass plate and made keepsakes that we were actually able to use for dinner. So you can experiment with your paint, but if you're going to be reusing this salad spinner for actual eating, go with something non-toxic and washable, okay? You'll be much happier. The other thing you can do is vary the viscosity. Remember I was talking about that before? So you can use it thick right out of the bottle, or you can add some water to thin it out. You're going to get different types of artwork based on how viscous your paint is. So I encourage you to really experiment with that too and see what kind of different results you get. But let's show you the basics here. All right, there we are. There's my salad spinner. Got my plate in there. Now, when I do this, I really take a less is more approach. I like to add a little bit of paint at a time, because if I add too much paint all at once, you're going to end up with a situation where you can't take away any of the paint. It might bleed, you might get really funky colors that you don't like, so add a little bit, and you can always add more. The other thing you want to think about is not adding too many individual colors. And you want to think about the color wheel. What colors are going to complement each other, as opposed to what colors might blend and become blacks or, browns or grays. So think a little bit about that before you start doing this. Now, I'm doing lines, but you could do all kinds of patterns. You could just do random dots. You can really play with how you apply the paint here. Now, I'm going for 4 colors. Usually I keep it at 3, but because my 4th color is black in this case, I'm not worrying too much about it. And I'm really loading it on here because I really want full coverage if I can manage it today. So there we go. I've got lots of paint on there. I'm going ahead and adding my top, clicking this in, and here we go. This is the most fun part. Centripetal motion, right? Okay. Now the centrifugal forces inside should have done what? They should have pulled the paint away from the center, out towards the edges. So let's see. There we go. Wow, look at that. What a cool splatter that is. I love it. I love it. So that came out really, really nicely. And like I said, experiment. Try different colors, different color combinations. Really play with where you put your paint, and you can come up with all kinds of amazing artwork this way. I've even done things like use fabric paint on this, and you can certainly try that if you wanted to use like a piece of fabric in there. It does help if it's very liquidy for that though. I'm going to put another one in because I want to show you another cool thing that you can do. For this, I'm just going to go ahead and use a whole bunch of the same paint. And I'm going to go and give it a quick spin to just get it started. And now I'm going to grab, can you tell what that might be? Marbles. This is really fun because you get to trace the motion, the force and motion, and where it moves those marbles across the paint. So here we go. This is really fun if you put different size marbles or balls in there and see if they all move the same or if they move differently. Let's see if we've got a good... There you go. So you can see how they made their own paths through the paint. So you can really play with how many you put in there, again, what sizes you do, and and you can get like a whole separate almost seashell nautilus effect as they rotate around within the paint. So that's really fun to do too. And you can go ahead and just coat your whole plate first if you want to, and then put the marbles in. This is also really fun to do with, you could put like some sand in your paint and let that be dragged along, and you'll get different patterns with it. You can put different shapes in there. You might be able to put like a matchbox car in there and see what kind of pattern that gives you. So see how those centripetal and centrifugal forces act on the items that you put in the salad spinner by applying paint first, and then you can see their tracks, so it'll tell you how they were moving. All right, we're going to come back over here for one more quick item. All right, so that is a fun way to make easy artwork with the salad spinner. I want to show you one last idea. Okay, here I just took the top off of a takeout container and I put it into the salad spinner, and I put paint on there, and I went kind of light. And what you can do is you just tape on a little bit of string and hang this in the window or hang it outside in a tree, and it's a really nice little sun catcher that you can upcycle maybe some of your takeout containers really, really simply to make something beautiful. These work really nicely if you're okay with using acrylics. If you use like thinned out acrylics, you can really get good coverage on a plastic takeout like this. Plus, the different shapes will catch the light really nicely. Okay, so that is today's little bit of fun science and maker space projects. If you go ahead and make your own, I would love to see your artwork. I'd love to see the results of your experiments. Make sure you post them in the comments, or you can send me an email at sandy@enrichedscience.com. You can also hashtag Kaleidoscope Enrichment if you see something you like and you want to share it out with the world. But I hope that you go and make some really cool artwork of your own, and find out what things in your kitchen you're able to separate using your own homemade centrifuge. I will be back next Wednesday at 4 p.m. right here at Kaleidoscope Enrichment. Also take a look at our Facebook page because we have a lot of different events coming up. Every Monday at 2, I do Maker Monday with the Warren County Library System. On Fridays at 2 o'clock, I do Friday STEAM with the Warren County Library System. And then every now and again, pretty regularly, I do Family Maker Camp activities as well. So definitely check our Facebook page for our events. Make sure that you come on back, tell Mom and Dad that you want to, and that you want to try out some of these fun experiments. I'm Sandy Roberts with Kaleidoscope Enrichment. I hope that you stay safe and healthy, and I hope that soon I'll be able to see you all again in person and do some fun science activities together. In the meantime, keep making, keep exploring, and keep creating.